Hello, people. It's been a hot minute, but we're back crusadering after a hot minute of a break. Mainly because there wasn't much to mod, because the game was in dire need of an update, and the AI framework still hasn't been patched, so it's kind of been waiting. And in the meantime, I thought, you know what? Why don't we just make a tier list of how the AI currently stand? This is after the update which added the crocodile, the canary, and the trader. Which fixed a ton of issues with a lot of AIs, and one of the oldest standing issues with Marshall and Frederick, where they would never buy weapons, which was a big issue because Frederick would just sit on 12,000 coins and not do anything with it really. So, with that in mind, I'm gonna start an update to the tier list of how everything stands, with the Abbot who slots nicely into B tier. As it currently stands, the Abbot is very good and very well rounded. And, yeah, I don't think there's much to add. Like, the problem with the Abbot mainly is his troops, because he mostly uses monks, which, well, even though they're good in melee range, they just die so quickly and they never reach a castle. Because his defense is good, his economy is one of the best in the entire game. His army it really drags him down. Then we got the Firelord himself, Caliph, who is definitely an A tier, bordering the S tier still. What takes Caliph short is Caliph is mostly a harassment lord. You won't often lose games to a Caliph once you've got your castle established, because he can't really break through. That's the main issue with Caliph. His biggest strength is the fact that he will literally just burn everything you have, and there's not much you can do against it in specific maps. He's got a decent economy, but he does drag back in the later game, and his army also dragged him back a bit, but for aggression, which I rate very high, this lord's absolutely unmatched. Emir. In the original Stronghold Crusader, I would put Emir in the S tier. I would put him in A tier now, because he's a lot less aggressive. He prints less units, it feels like. I haven't had much trouble with him compared to before. But he still has a very good economy. And he still has a good army type, because he uses horse archers, which are just obscenely broken. Yeah. So here comes the first big change. Frederick would be in C tier, normally. But I'm gonna put him all the way up in A tier. He does still not put, leave something to be desired when putting troops on his walls, because they're a bit unmounted, I would say, sometimes. But he at least buys troops now, and his castles themselves are very good in defense. So, I would say he's actually pretty solid overall now. He's got a good army type. He uses very good siege engines, because he uses trebuchets quite a lot even. And he attacks quite frequently, actually, nowadays. And the most annoying thing is he harasses a ton with the Horse Knights. Marshall would normally be in D tier, but he's actually moving up all the way to... I would say still C tier. Like, Marshall's biggest drawback is he just doesn't print units that can actually go into the castle. He just prints a ton of knights, and he's very annoying with harassment. And even though he buys weapons now, which does put him a bit higher than he used to be, it's not enough. It just isn't. Because he also doesn't have that great of an economy. And his castles are pretty shit to begin with. Nizar is my first S tier of how the game currently stands. Nizar is annoying to siege, because almost his entirety of his castle is submerged in water. With all booby traps. So you will need to dig it out. His defenses are overall pretty decent, but he is vulnerable to catapult bombardments, like most AI lords, but him a bit more than others because he doesn't have walls. But what makes Nizar so annoying is that he harasses with slaves, so he's like Caliph, and he also prints assassins, and which can sometimes just catch you off guard and kill you at the moment. I do think that the later the game goes, the worse Nizar becomes. So he's like bottom S tier, top A tier. Philip, D tier. I think this lord is so obscenely useless. The only way to make Philip useful is if he starts with like 40k gold. Because He just doesn't print enough units. He mainly just uses knights like Marshall, but his castle is even worse because it's just only protected from the front. He doesn't print enough units. He doesn't have a good economy. So yeah, in general, just a fucking worthless lord. Pig. Pig is bottom 8 here right now. He doesn't put enough crossbowmen on his towers, which is his biggest drawback. But he's insanely annoying because he prints catapults like they're nothing. He constantly uses macemen to destroy your stone production and farms. In general, he's just a very annoying lord. But he's pretty easy to siege, which is why he's at the bottom of the A tier. Red. Still D tier. I still rate him higher than Philip, though. Unironically. I think he's still more annoying than Philip, because Red attacks pretty early in the game, where Philip just waits a while. But I don't think I need to explain any further why Red is down there. Richard. B tier. In the past, Richard was maybe higher, but I don't know what happened. But Richard suffers a bit this in the current game. He doesn't put as much units on his towers anymore. And in general, it feels like Richard just isn't as menacing as some of the other lords that are higher than him. You could put him at the bottom of A tier, because I do think he's higher than Abbott, because Richard's armies are actually menacing compared to Abbott. But he doesn't have that good of an economy compared to Abbott. So I think Richard fits nicely in the B tier. Saladin is S tier though, still at the top of the game. This guy has the, like Abbott, insane good economy, very good army types. His castles are very annoying to siege as well. Like, I think this lord doesn't have any weakness really. Yeah, and besides early game, because he does take time to set up, but yeah. Sheriff, B tier. Bottom of B tier. Sheriff is, like Pig, very annoying, but where Sheriff falls short is, if you ever siege Sheriff, he burns down his entire castle and his entire economy is gone for the rest of the game. So, yeah. Make of that what you will. His army is literally the same as the Pig, except for he uses, I believe, some more troops, so... Snake, C tier. Snake is like a rat who's more annoying. His castles are flimsy at best, and Snake tends to just harass you a lot, and that's it. That's his only annoying part. He harasses a ton. Sultan is, I would say, yeah, like I would say bottom, top D tier, because Sultan is actually menacing with a lot of gold, because he prints units and attacks pretty relentlessly. But once he runs out of gold, this lord is literally useless for the rest of the game. Wazir. Top of A tier as well, close to Caliph. He's Caliph, but he's a little bit less aggressive, and he uses horse archers. And horse archers are still just the most overpowered unit in the entire game. Which is, yeah. I believe his defenses are good, his economy is good. But he just doesn't attack enough, I feel like. Wolf. He is not above Saladin anymore. Wolf is, I'd say, around here. Wolf just doesn't attack as much. He doesn't attack often enough. And some of his armies, even though they look insanely cool, and he is by far the sickest castle designs in the entire game, some of them are unnecessarily big and unnecessarily cost too much gold, which makes them kinda not the greatest. So now we come to the new lords that have been added. We're gonna do the new characters last, so let's start off with Nomad. Nomad is a bottom of A tier lord. The reason is, he is by far the most aggressive lord in the entire game, and it's not even a question. This guy will start attacking before you've even set up any economy, even with low gold, because his troops are cheap as hell, and his castle costs nothing. But it's also his weakness, because Nomad is literally an early game lord. You can put him at the top of A tier. I put him at the bottom of, top of B tier. I put him at the bottom of A tier. Because his army isn't the greatest, okay? His army is only good for rushing, which is his entire purpose. He, in some missions, this is the most annoying lord in the entire game because he will just make the entire early game unplayable, make you restart the mission multiple times because you can't get through the early game. But besides it, once you get through it, this lord is absolutely worth it and probably the easiest lord to siege in the entire game. Kahina. B tier. Probably top of B tier. So, where Nomad is a rush opponent, Kahina is almost the same, but a bit less. Kahina waits a bit more before she starts attacking. Her units are stronger than Nomad's, but her castle designs are pretty shit, and her economy is also not the greatest. But she's mostly just a very annoying lord that starts attacking a ton in the mid game. She does not get her economy like stable to an extent, and she attacks a lot more than these other lords here. But she's just not on the level of these guys. So then we get the Sentinel, who's the first S tier. I would put him above, maybe even above Wolf. It's a bit controversial, but I believe he's probably stronger than Wolf. Sentinel's only weak point is one before his castle is closed in. Once his castle has walls all around it, it's so hard to siege him. His castles are very well designed, even if they're a bit generic because they're all crosses. His troop, it's a very good composition. He uses very good troops in the game. He attacks pretty often once he starts going. He has an amazing economy. So I don't believe this lord has any weakness, except for the early game again. And the Jewel, I would put at the top of A tier, bottom of S tier. Probably bottom S tier. So where the Jewel falls short compared to the Sentinel is her castles are easier to siege because they're a bit bigger and less dense. Her economy is good, but could be better, and she mainly uses pikemen, which is one of the best units in the game. But it once like you have crossbows set up and that kind of stuff, they just don't get through. She doesn't use enough archers, but she does siege, so, but not as much as the Sentinel. So here we come to the big one, the new lords. So let's start off with the Crocodile, who's at the, I'd say in the middle of B tier. Crocodile is kind of like Nomad, where he's pretty aggressive to an extent. His castles are very weird and unique, which is why I like him a lot. Because no AI makes castles that are similar to him. He's annoying to siege because he uses pitch and trap, so it's in general just an annoying lord to siege. But his army is pretty weak. That's his main drawback. He has a weak army. If he has a better army, he would easily be on the beat in the A tier, but he doesn't, so... The Canary. Unfortunately, the weakest lord in the entire game, I'd say. I'd say maybe even below Philip. She is very cute and actually pretty funny as a lord because he literally has the Red's personality. But yeah, I probably I'd do this even. I think she's better than Red actually, because it's literally just a direct upgrade to Red. Her castles are kind of Red-esque, with a hole inside. The hole is to lure you in, make people lure in, and walk through an entire section of traps, which is cool and all, until you know, discover that an army can be bigger than 10 troops, which makes the traps irrelevant. So mostly that. I think I'm gonna put the Sheriff down in C tier. And I'm gonna move the Nomad down to the B tier. And then I'm gonna put the Trader in S tier. I think this lord is very good. Trader is very, very good. He spams heavy camels, which I believe to be one of the best units in the game right now, because they're insanely tanky, and the only way you really kill them is melee. You need to melee range them. If you don't, arrows just don't do anything to them. It's so easy to siege with heavy camels, and he prints them like it's nothing. He has probably the best economy in the entire game, which is true to the name at least. He does like a bit of aggression, But, yeah. The reason he's not above Wolf is because he doesn't put enough troops on his wall sometimes. But besides that, I'd say he's probably top of S tier. I think that sums up about everything here. I'll make a video next about, in the future, about the troops and a tier list for the troops in general. I'll see you guys tomorrow.